Good morning, which judges Jules, and it's been after Royal Ascot, so we've got plenty to talk about today, and I'm being joined by my helpful colleague, Simon, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well, mate, and congratulations on your mega Saturday, Judgy, with the old 80-1, was it?
Yes, yeah, it was a good day Saturday, mate, and a nice place, Acker, as well. Yeah, I mean, Carden was, I just couldn't believe the price of it, to be fair.
Carden, yeah.
You know, and they've got the Wokingham winner, which is nice as well, which obviously we'll cover later on, St Lawrence. And it's just one of them days where things just, I've had quite a lot of frustrating seconds and close ones. It's nice that they all come good on the one day, which is what you want when you're tipping, isn't it?
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, well done, mate.
Well done,
mate. It was an interesting week. You've
had a good few weeks and it's a few close shaves over the week as well, didn't you?
Good few decades, I'd like to say. Yeah.
we had the first.
It's been great. Yeah, you know, as a company, as a group, you know, we've done well.
Brilliant.
Most people have done their absolute conkers in this week, so we've. This is, you know, why we give good prices. Yeah. I mean, for instance, 2 bets of 200 grand have gone on that Crowley thing that he couldn't even get in the first 3. This is Ascot. Nothing is easy. Nothing is a cert. All these people saying I'll fire out on this favourite and that favourite. Don't think that that's going to magically happen. You've got to get across 5 days plenty of big prices in if you want to make money at Ascot.
That's right.
So yeah, you've got to, and we see not only that, but you know, we've had winners 25s, 33s, but the places have all been 33s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we've had not the first 4 in the betting, not in the first 4 on a few occasions. So this is as tough as it gets.
It's like so like Saturday, very, very quick as well, is that the play spot paid about 30 odd grand. I managed to get a very small smidgen of that. And it makes so much difference, doesn't it, on your week? You just get a few things, you know, you only got to get like a few things right. But if you're backing 1 to 2 chances, you've got to be right a lot more than you're wrong. So, and I'm not a great fan of backing horses at short price that everyone in the country can see won easy last time out. And, you know, when they're stepping up in grade, like we did cover the Jersey, I mean, that was probably the worst price favourite of the week, that the Frankie Tutorials in the Jersey. I mean, it won a handicap with no form behind it. I mean, the one that comes second, as we spoke about the other day, the one that comes second in the race beat it last time they met and £7 better off. So, you know, it's bonkers, isn't it?
Anyway, quickly on that race, anybody who followed me in, Judge, on my selection ridden by Mr. Stott, I'm sure was equally nonplussed. And I won't say this lightly, because Mr. Crowley has ridden some absolute pearlers this week.
Yeah,
horror rides on favourites, and the ride in the very last race he gave the Charles Burns horse. However, they look like Lester Piggott at his best compared to Stott on Saturday. It was the worst ride I think I've ever seen. I have no idea why he thought. And then when he realised and started flying, that horse should have won 2 lengths. It wasn't even in the first 4. So if you did follow me in, believe me, there was a few boots going through a few TVs around the country watching that.
Yeah,
and again,
the nature of we'll talk about some of the ways the races have been run later in the. But we're going to cover. We're going to have one each day, aren't we?
The fawning round him when he got an 11 to 10 shot home that was second in the Derby. Fine, yeah, great, but not a whisper from ITV about that ride. Not a whisper. So you can't praise and then let him off the bad stuff. That's all I'm saying. Right? Okay.
No, that's right. That's a little. It's going to be a few mini rants as we go, but we've got one each day, haven't we? We're going to go a quick brief thing. So we'll start on the Tuesday. Obviously, my first one is actually going to be running in the where are we? The King's Stand, I believe, on the Tuesday. This was a race where, believe it or not, they didn't go that fast for a 5 furlong race. They didn't dawdle, but they sort of went a steady pace and then quickened at the end. So anything that's coming from the back of the field has run a cracker. And my jewel for the day, I was really impressed with last year's second, Twilight Calls, the Henry Candy horse. His horses have been going well this season, especially of late. And this thing stayed on it the 4th. And for me, it's an excellent run. He made ground up from the back, as did Anaf, but he got switched straight away. And he got stopped for a run very crucially at stage round between the 2 and the 1. He definitely would have been placed. And I just think he's definitely an eye catcher. He's one to watch in the next couple of starts over at either the Jai Cup or the Nunthorpe, possibly, going forwards. I think it's better run than finishing position would suggest. So that's my first one for the Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that race, Highfield Princess has run 2 screamers, and they must be shaking their heads out it's not one. I thought Anaf was interesting, Mick Appleby. I mean, who'd have thought Mick Appleby would have had a much bigger winning week than Charlie?
Godolphin.
But he did, yeah. He had a great week, didn't he? And I thought Anaf ran well, but yeah, I completely agree with yours there. He got stopped at an absolutely crucial time, didn't he?
Definitely.
Well, mine ran in the last, Judge.
Yeah.
The Copper Horse, and it was actually one of my platinum bets. Chillingham, who we actually started backing this the night before at 22s, and even some people got 25s. I always thought it would drift back out because such a strong favourite in Vauban, who was in a different county to everything. Chillingham, it had won on this, but its best form has been with Cut. And was drawn in 13 and dwelt at the start. A lot of things went wrong. Callum Rodriguez was riding really well. He struggled to hold this horse. He took an extremely keen hold. I thought he'd try and bury the horse, but didn't. He let it have its head and come on the outside. It's finished 4th, so we've got a nice each-way play, but Chillingham is a lot better than that. And it shows you how good at improving young horse he is, that he still was in the 4. And beat horses like Gripwriter, Sam Cook, good solid grade 2 handicappers. I think when he gets back to York or a Doncaster, I think there's a big handicap in him this year. And he won't get put up too much for that, maybe a pound or two. I do think he's better with Cut in the ground. So to place, I just think it was a massive eye catcher. So we got the place. Vauban was in a different league. I mean, people have listened to something last night talking about where he could go next. But I mean, he would have had a chance in the Gold Cup in that form. He would have had a chance in that race. So he just beat them up, didn't he? But Chillingham, get it in. Stick with him.
I've got to hold my hands up. I have Vauban down as the judge's joker for the day. And I mean, it's just the type of. I mean, I don't mind having egg on my face when you're taking short ones on. In the end, you're taking even money 11 to 8. Like I say, you've got to be right at evens. You've got to be right more than every other time to cop. And to be fair, I was expecting him to be buried a bit and not get a clear run. But Ryan gave him a fantastic ride, got out front. And I've got to be. You watch the race back. I say just about to turn in the home straight. He was being ridden along and look beat. He went from ridden along look beat to 5 lengths clear, just like that, didn't he? Very impressive, but it'd be interesting to see what the handicapper does, because obviously it's going to be entered in the E-ball and races like it's got to go up 12 minimum, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if they'll go straight to Melbourne and not go for the E-ball.
It could do, but it's such a valuable race as well, though, isn't it? The E-ball.
Yeah, but I think Rich Ritchie's desperate to win the Melbourne Cup.
That's fair enough. Yeah, they run again and get another penalty. I mean, exactly. I'll hold my hands up. Chillingham ran a terrific race. He didn't really settle very well, did he? And good job they had the rain on the Tuesday, because it did help in terms of making the ground. That was probably the softest it was all week, wasn't it, on the Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, he wants it heavy.
It did help. Yeah. But for me, you had to. It's one of them races. Actually, you did need to be up with the pace. You didn't want to be too far off. It's very rare for the round course all week. I will quickly talk about that. The amount of times you keep reading in the paper, you want a low draw on the round course. It's rubbish. Uncanny. For some reason, people on the inside go far too fast, and they've got nothing left and everything. You have a look at how many of the round course races won by horses coming wide up the home straight. And 9 times out of 10 they had a high draw. It's uncanny. And every year you read it in the papers. We're drawn in the car park. I'd rather be drawn in the car park than up the inside.
Agreed.
So, anyway, that's my little mini rant over. You just think these are meant to be professionals going, oh, yes, you want to be drawn up the inside. Right, moving swiftly on. That's Tuesday done with. So we'll move on to Wednesday. Wednesday, I think we're a little bit spoilt for choice. I found it difficult to find one in particular, but one race I want to be concentrating on was the Fillies Handicap. It says, waiting for my computer to load up. The race, I thought Tarab run a cracking race in this.
Yeah, I tipped that.
Yeah, in the Kensington Palace. I couldn't remember the name of it. I actually tipped Adelaide's, and I think the two Joseph O'Brien horses just didn't get a clear run up the straight. But the winner was last turning to the home straight, come widest of all, and got a clear run. Villeneuve Queen for Jesse Harrington. That was the winner. But Don't Tell Claire pounced for home early in the home straight. But Tarab had run a cracker. Got stopped for a run at the most important stage. And if you look once again at the draws here, Villanova Queen won from drawn 8, but did come wide. And then it was drawn 18-4 for Tarab. And then you've got 11, 10, 22, 14, 15, 12. That tells its own story, that you needed to come wide. He went up the rail, and I've got to say, I thought this was a great run. Tarab, for me, definitely needs to go in your tracker.
Yeah, our HFC VIP double dipper that day we had the winner of the first Crimson Advocate at 12s, and that each way double dipper went on Tarab at 8. So I watched that.
I bet you were kicking the telly, weren't you?
Yeah, mortified. I mean, it's paid a decent, and obviously the single on the first, but I thought Tarab was extremely unlucky. I mean, if we weren't going to win, I was cheering on because of my association with the Kublers. I was cheering on Dr. Claire, so that would have made it a little bit easier to bear. But when this thing sweeps down the outside, I think it's a red hot form, that definitely.
I do. I mean, Don't Tell Claire loves Ascot. She's bang solid, but she had the run of the race. Everything went right. She didn't quite get the job done. But there are a few in behind that had traffic problems. I do think the two Irish horses are worth looking going forward, especially Adelaide's when she goes up in trip. But Tarab for me was the eye catcher from the race. Yeah,
I wrote yesterday about I tipped Pile Driver on Saturday and had a decent bet on Pile Driver, and I said in the column yesterday that the HFC VIP column, I said I love horses that are always bigger prices than they should be. These are the horses you make money on. Pile Driver, small yard, always goes off a big price, and has got so many wins. I mean, King George winner. He could get 8-1, 6-1. It's crazy. And I wrote that on the morning. It's not after time. But there's a horse here who actually the trading room think service tipped, who fits that profile even as well. And that's Random Harvest, who got beaten a neck in the Duke of Cambridge, the Group 2. Now, this was another one, favourite flopper. You know, we were told here, there, and everywhere that is it Jumbly? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And this has been so whatever. Again, 4th. So another cert turned over. But Rogue Millennium, who's got some great form. She's got some great form. Really stayed on well, powerfully. I mean, that'll get a mile too. But Random Harvest, my eye catches, it was second at Epsom at a huge price. Came here, I didn't hear one person mention it. And it's just got done a neck. I mean, there's a real big, this is a Group 2, but this will go back down to Group 3 or even listed level. And for some reason, no one ever seems to fancy it. I think Safi Osborne gave it a great ride, but Tudhope was just too strong in the last 50 yards. And Rogue Millennium's no slouch. That's a horse that's competed at Group 1 level. So Random Harvest has got to be the eye catcher for the day. And again, I repeat, this horse nobody ever seems to fancy it. It's always a big price. So if you backed it each way the last time, you've been on at 40s and 33s in the morning, and you've got 2 big payouts.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, this is one of those underrated types like Pile Driver. Ed Walker had a good week. He had 7-1 winner later in the week. His horses are still in screaming form. So I think we'll see this pretty quick. I think we might
absolutely loves Ascot as well, doesn't she? All her best, most of them. I mean, she ran well at Epsom the time before, but she loves Ascot. She's got a great record there. And I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't come back there later on in the season and pick a nice race up with her.
Yeah. Get her in the tracker.
Absolutely. So, we're moving on to Thursday now. And believe it or not, Valiant Force wasn't completely out of the ball game in the first race. Everyone said, well, that was 150 to 1. I made the misfortune of tipping up the horse that beat it last time out. And he was only a couple of lengths behind it, over 6 furlongs. This was back in trip and had led most of the way. So, when people say it's 150 to 1, for me, it's more likely a 33 to 1 chance in 150s. So, they are kind of there sometimes, but you've got to think outside the box. But once again, you have the King George, the 5th handicap, was fought out by horses that were drawn high. The lowest drawn horse in the race was Valiant King, who ran a cracker drawn 8. But for me, this particular race, the horse that took my eye was a horse called Perfuse. They went absolute mental fractions. If you watch the race as it was run on at the races, they do the times of each furlong, and it was like red as they was going from the front. You knew it was going to be one of them races where something from the back of the field was going to come through. And sure enough, Desert Hero, Valiant King, even Cloudbreaker, who I actually tipped up, was right near the rear. If you have a look who was the back 4 as they turned into the home straight, I believe like 3 of the first 4 were the horses in the last 4 positions. But Perfuse was well backed during the day, went off the 4-1 favourite, and he was sitting in about 4th most of the way, and took it up as they turned into the home straight, poaching the 2 furlong pole, and just emptied inside the final furlong. Well, I'm not surprised. If you were close to that pace, you had no chance. And I think this, providing it doesn't sort of, back out after that run, I think this is a better run than it looks, because it was 5th at 4-1. People think, oh, got well beat. I can see this running very well, and I think it's much better than its current marker 94 for Sir Michael Stout.
I wouldn't be surprised to see it back at 1 mile 2 either.
No.
Yeah.
Got plenty of pace, isn't it?
That's a strong race, that, and
definitely you'll be getting winners out of that race.
And the ride Tom Marquand's given the winner there was there wouldn't be many better rides than
the
that.
Ride of the week, I think.
Yeah. I think ride of the week for me. I did Bertinelli each way. I don't think he quite got home either. I got to go at the 5 o'clock again. Another of these huge field handicaps, and these are the sort of races where if you don't go back and watch, you can easily miss next time out winners. Again, great ride from Haley Turner. Docklands must have made up. Oh, when you saw the shot at the 2 furlong pole, you would have given Docklands very little chance to win this, and she's powered home. That'll obviously take a lot of the interest in the race. Now you got then some huge places. You got Thunderball 66 has placed 4th, Urban Sprawl at 50s. Tempered Soul for George Bowen and Ocean Murphy, that was 5th. A lot of people playing 5 and even 6 on this race. So again, huge places. But for me, the one to take out of this, and so unlucky, really, was the second horse, New Endeavour of Roger Variance. So he's raced on the far side, led that group easy, and it must have just been awful for David Egan to look across. Well, I think he thought he'd won and just see out of nowhere Docklands finish up the other side, basically, miles away from him, and just do him on half a length on the line. But New Endeavour, that was an excellent run. This is bang solid form. The time before that, it had
easy
won
on the all-weather, absolutely shot clear, didn't it?
Beating Berkshire Phantom. And, to step up to this there, I thought was a massive step up in form. And really, this horse now has got so many options, hasn't it? Because look, the logical thing will be to come back here for one of those big Saturday handicaps. But I'd like to see this at York and Doncaster. I think those straight courses, there's so many races this could go for. And I think because of the winner and the ride that was given, this horse will probably get forgotten by a lot of people. And there's a big Saturday handicap in this.
And he's on the upward trend as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and also of all that field, this horse has got a lot of scope to improve further. Yeah. So
I noticed he was in different ownership. I don't know whether he's going to be one of these horses that ends up going, to Hong Kong or to Australia. I don't know whether that's the case or
not. But I would think they'll have a crack at some big field handicaps here before maybe doing that in autumn.
Like it's the sort of horse you could see probably running a couple more times in this country and actually then fly off abroad, though, isn't he? He's that good.
Possibly. Yeah. Oh, he's class.
Yeah. Well, we better move on to the Friday. We've got the old time
we're
moving
on the clock here, mate.
Yeah, I know. We're on the clock. We're not getting paid by the minute either. So on the Friday, we had another. I'm not going to waffle too much about the draw again, but if you get to the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes, the mile 4 at 3:40, the race was won by Akita Sushi, given a fantastic ride by Ryan Moore. Once again, I'm going to quickly go through the draw. 9, 11, 18, 16, 19, 5. with the first 5 home. And if you actually stop the recording, if you're watching the race back, stop it as they turn in. The winner was second last. I think the second, basically once again, the 3 of the first 4 home were pretty much at the back end of the field. But what a run from Live Your Dream. He's up there all the way. He actually kicked 5 lengths clear off the fast pace. I thought, this has got to stop. This cannot be in the first 3 as they come to the furlong pulse. It just got headed. And it stayed on. It only got beat 2 lengths. This was an absolute unbelievable run. I thought it was one of the best runs of the week. Live Your Dream. Sayyid bin Saror. Notice it wasn't Charlie Applebee's. Coming third here at 11-1. Providing it's, it hasn't taken too much out of it. This horse could run well in an Ebor side. It's got about the right. It wants a mile 6 for me, not a mile 4. It's rated 102, so it'd probably go up a pound for coming third here. It's going to get an Ebor off that particular way, and it'd be interesting to see if they just sort of give it a break now and then go to the York meeting in a couple of months' time. But certainly keep an eye out for him. That was a terrific run.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anybody off, and he's one of them. Once the prices start coming out, you'll look and see if if we can get anything out of the yard. That's their aim. Yeah, he'd be solid, wouldn't he? Have to maybe not go off quite as quick up that long York straight and 2 further forward.
Yeah, once you Trawlerman did it last year, didn't he? In the same colours.
Well, that race looks solid because Azero, of course, who placed in it the previous year, he came back and finished 4th. Easier sort of thing to handicap that race around. Yeah. Very, 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 like you, and solid. And Sayyid bin Siro clearly liked that race. He had about 20 entries. So what that, he must have, because he's not that many horses now. I think he must have put the lot of them in. Right. I went for what many thought was a ridiculous steward's inquiry in the big race of Coronation. Dermot Well trained the winner, Tahira, the only real hot pot that went in that the people had the big bets on. And they actually interviewed him while the steward's inquiry was ongoing on Sky. And he was very arsey. It was very put out. Well, hard lines. I thought it was a genuine steward's inquiry. Never really thought they were going to turn it over. But the one for me is the one who was second, Remarque, was a big price at 25s. Everybody thought that Mediate for Aidan O'Brien Coolmore was the only real threat to this. But Remarque, I mean, let's be honest. If you watch the end of that race, Rob Hornby, who had to basically stop riding when he got intimidated, shall we say, by Tahira and Sounds of Heaven, he has picked this up and was making ground hand over fist. Weld said that his horse wasn't being ridden out, and Chris Hayes thought he'd won and was relaxed. But I don't buy that. I think Chris Hayes, he wasn't whipping Tahira, but he was certainly riding her. And Remarque was making ground. We'll never know. It had a clear run. But
I think it'd been a photograph, put it that way. I think it'd have been a photo. Yeah.
And if Tahira's a machine, which we all think she is, then this must be some serious horse. I mean, it was impressive at Newbury. Then you have to say, really, was a bit of a non-event.
It down in the Guineas, didn't it?
Yeah, but I've said this to you before. I'll forgive any horse a bad run in a Guineas. Some horses just don't act it. Newmarket.
That's right.
So to come out and really serve it up to what everybody says is by far the best filly in training, 3-year-old filly in training, I think it's incredible performance. And I'd be fascinated to go whether they step the horse up in trip, look at a race like the Juddmonte maybe on day 1 of the York meeting, or whether they stay at a mile. I've got a funny feeling Rafe Beckett will want to take that winner on again. And you might see it in something like an Irish Champion, but I'll give it a big chance.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be put off, because I think she'd go for a decent price again against it, just on the basis they don't think it was. Yeah. We better move on to the final day.
We've got 5 minutes to do Saturday.
Yeah. Right. So we're going to Saturday. What a day that was! I'm sport for choice here.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, I'm gonna. My one's going to be running in the Wokingham, and obviously lucky enough to be on St Lawrence, but I obviously had part of the play spot here, and the horse that I needed to come forward was a horse called Fresh. And if this horse loves Ascot, and he got stopped for a run, a furlong out, he wouldn't have won it, but he definitely would have been second or third with a clear run. And this horse has sort of just not been running so well in his recent starts, but this was much more like it. And this horse will definitely, in my opinion, be picking up one of them big handicaps back at this track later on in the season. He's one that you've got to have on your radar. He's a bang solid type. I think he was favourite actually for this race last year and didn't run okay, but was drawn the wrong side. But this time he went off with huge price, 20-1 for horse that loves Ascot, and he's run another great race there.
Yeah. We had our platinum bet Juan Lapan for Charlie Mick Appleby at 18s. I keep saying it now. That ran great. Looked a solid race. St. Lawrence. Varian must have watched that with his head in his hands because he trained that until recently, didn't he?
He went to Archie Watson.
Yeah, and he's gone to Dr. Watson. Yeah, so bang solid. Agree with that one. Now, very, very quickly, my last one.
Yeah, we've just mentioned it a
bit. Yeah. The last race of the whole shebang. Shocker from Jim Crowley on Run for Oscar. I'll be talking about that. Ryan Moore, big gamble for JP McManus. Money was down on Dawn Rising, the good hurdler there, and that did it. I thought the Grand Vizier ran an absolute belter. Best race for a long time. I needed
that for a double with the 80-1 chance. Carden. That would have been the cherry on the top.
The one I might catch, and the one I want people to get down is a horse. Was fourth. Andrew Balding, none from 22, whatever it was, a horror week for him.
Disappointing week, wasn't it?
Typewriter. Yeah, funny week for him. I thought Typewriter ran a belter. And my angle here is he didn't, this is an extreme distance. He didn't get home. I've watched it back twice. He held up in rear and then he made a challenge, Murphy. And he 2 or 3 out, I thought he was going as well as anything. He got into third place and then you can see he's just emptied right at the end. Now, there's plenty of good races at 2 miles. I wouldn't even rule him out for an E-ball. A bang, quick 1 mile 6. I think Typewriter, that was an exceptional performance. They've got options now. There's no, he won't be coming back for 2 mile 5 races, but anything over 2 miles or 2-2 as Zarovich maybe, I think he's got a good chance. I was very impressed by that performance. He did not get home. The others, National Hunt Breds, they just saw it out. But he has got a bit more class maybe, and I think dropping back in trip to 2, and there's a decent racing Typewriter. So he would be my final one.
Well done, Max. I think she's been progressing, and the form of her run at York was Frank yesterday. The first 2 in that listed race at Pontefract ran just in front and just behind her there. So, and she looks like she's improved for the step up in trip to me. She's been running over mile 6. And I think she probably wants 2 miles rather than 2 mile 6. And she's definitely on a handicap mark that she can play with. She's got, try to get some listed black type. So I think we've covered quite a few things there. We're running out of time now, but we're just come under the half an hour mark, which is great. Thank you very much for your help, mate. I hope you have a good week.
Yeah, and you, mate. Keep the winners coming. Be lucky, everybody.
Be lucky.